stars come and go, but diamonds last forever.
I die for fashion, but now I'm living for me.
I turn ambition into an art form, and I am the masterpiece.
I might live on a main road, but I definitely bring main character energy.
I didn't marry into money. I manifested it.
Survival isn't my story. It's my superpower.
I'm unfiltered, unbothered, and finally, unburdened.
Welcome back to another episode of the Living on the Verge podcast. Taglines are out, you guys. What do you think? So I think that they were all relatively decent, but Dorit's is giving serious shade. It goes really well with her cigarettes. I'm just saying. Welcome back to the podcast. Today we're talking Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And it starts off with Boz visiting Rachel Zoe and just looking absolutely fabulous in that white top with the jeans. And then we get to see more of Rachel's gorgeous house, and we find out that she too had her ex in the press with other women and that whole thing that apparently seems to be the Beverly Hills thing. She just said that she wishes he had been more discreet. And then eventually they kind of just moved on to talking about Kyle's comments on dating. And Boz really alluded to the fact that they all seem to know what's going on. And it's true, when there's that much speculation in a group, it leads one to wonder if they're really friends. Rachel puts on her shades to imply that Boz is being a little shady. So then Kyle goes to visit Mauricio in his 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom, almost 3,000 square foot home in the Hollywood Hills. And she shows up with huge bags of towels. I don't understand. What's her obsession with the towels? Kyle tells us that originally Mo was supposed to lease the high-rise that he was in before for 6 months, and then they were supposed to sit down and have a chat. But she found out that he had leased this house after 6 months without having any sort of a conversation at all. And it didn't look like he was interested in maybe fixing things or talking about what the future looked like for the two of them. And it sounds to me like Kyle seems to be holding out a lot more hope than Mo is. Kyle says that yes, they're dating, they're single, yada, yada, all bets are off, everything's fine. But she still maintains that they should be more discreet in dating for the sake of the girls and each other. And that kind of, I don't know, it made me realize that Kyle's feeling a certain sort of a way about these sort of things. And then they too briefly discussed Dorit and PK's situation and kind of just agreed that it might not be all one-sided and we're only seeing Dorit's part of this story. So to be fair, that is true. But then Erika reached out to Sutton for a spa day, which was a surprising turn of events to me because these two don't have a great history. And so Sutton chooses to have a hair treatment. Erika has a facial. And they have a relatively simple conversation about allowing Dorit grace given her frame of mind because of what she's going through, blah, blah, blah. Erika talks about her feelings when seeing Tom being escorted to prison. And she tells Sutton that she doesn't know if she should go and say goodbye to him. But he is 86 years old and heading to prison for a long-term sentence. So she's convinced that he's going to die in prison. And she confesses to us that she had recently told someone that she kind of hopes he dies before he has to report for prison. And in a way, I hear where she's coming from. But on the other hand, for the sake of all the victims, Erika, I think they'd like to see him serve some justice. And it's just a really icky, mucky situation. Any way you slice it, because in this one, nobody wins. You have an 86-year-old man with dementia heading to prison for something he probably can't even remember he did. So I understand where she's conflicted and she's sad, and she says she does want to say goodbye, but she just doesn't know if she can. Can we just chat a minute about Erika's latest confessional look? You know, the red and blue with the E's all over and the big hat. Is it me, or is it only she that can pull this kind of stuff off? I mean, goodness gracious, it looks cartoonish, but yet for some reason she gets away with it. I'll post a photo of it on Instagram so you guys could tell me what you think. But she tells Sutton that it's been 5 years and she's still fighting about everything that's happened. She still has open civil cases and other litigation open and ongoing. And Sutton tells her, well, I really hope you get some relief. So it looks like these two are trying, but if I'm being honest, this seems like producers said somebody needs to throw Sutton a bone, and Erika was the only one who answered the phone because it did not seem organic. It seemed very forced. Shalom and Rachel, Dorit's parents, are in town, and Dorit is struggling with Jagger. She tells us she's been struggling with him for a couple of weeks and he's been acting differently, sort of as if the weight of the world is on his shoulders. And so Dorit's parents decided, along with Dorit, to take the kids to Florida for this little vacation getaway. And Rachel tells Dorit that she's concerned about her, about Dorit, and, you know, whether she's getting enough rest or eating well or whatever. And Dorit says that she's feeling it because PK used to do everything. And yet she's not afraid to throw him under the bus, being very open about the fact that PK is essentially just playing a bunch of financial games with her. She flat out says he's not giving her any money, and yet he expects her to pay all of these bills, and she doesn't really know what to make of anything that he's doing. So I don't think this is going to get any better before it gets a lot worse. And to be honest with you, I'd kind of like to hear PK's side on this because Dorit is not pulling any punches, and it kind of sucks that we're only hearing one side of the story. So Kyle and Alexia go to Geary's Beverly Hills to register Alexia for her upcoming wedding, and then Sutton joins them. Apparently this is a Richard's Girl tradition, and all of the brides have been registered at Gary's, and it's a very fancy schmancy place that has gorgeous flatware and china and glassware and crystal and all the things that you would want if you wanted to buy things that you really don't need and be ostentatious. Yes, my dear, I said it. As it turns out, the girl that bought the Bel Air house that Kyle and Mauricio used to own, Amanda, is going to happen to run into Kyle, wink, wink, and is now going to come to Gary's for some reason. Oh, to join the show. Got it. That was not a smooth introduction, Bravo. Just saying. Enter Amanda, and the $76,000 worth of Birkins congregate and are on full display at Gary's. You talk about ostentatious. So anyway, Amanda tells us that she met her now fiance, Eddie, on the street in West Hollywood. And a little bit about her. Well, she's best known for her best-selling book, Rich as Fuck. Amanda Francis is a manifester, who has come to be known as the Money Queen. I'll be honest, I had never heard about her until I saw her on the show. And I like to think I read a lot of books, but now I'm not going to lie, she's piqued my interest. I'm wondering how much the sales of the books will go up just because of her having joined the Bravoverse. Do you really think Bravo is that powerful, or am I just full of it today? Well, I'm going to move on because Jen Tilly's having a sipping and drawing boho chic party. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But first, can we talk about how fabulous Boz and Liel are together? I just love their relationship. This young lady is well-rounded. She's well-spoken. She's super confident. So much so that she tells her mama that she wants Keely to ask for her permission for her mother's hand in marriage. which I think is wonderful. I think that this little girl has a bright future, and you can tell she was raised by a strong, powerful woman. So we know the two are now engaged. I guess the proposal's coming up very soon here. Then they flash to Dorit getting ready, and the big question is, to Labubu or not to Labubu? That is the question. This chick's dripping in vintage McQueen, and then from a gold bracelet on her wrist, she hangs a Labubu. And even her stylists were like, are you really going to do that? Well, spoiler alert, she doesn't show up to the party with the Labubu hanging from her wrist. So I guess she chose not to Labubu. Let's move on. Charcuterie and caviar at Jen Tilly's house. One by one, the Ty Pennington look-alike greets the girls. Just kidding. It's really Luke. His name is Luke, Virginia. And we're about to meet Amanda.
Y'all, a stranger is going to come into our midst. Sutton invited her friend Amanda.
Hi, how are you? Welcome. Nice to see you. Come on in.
You must be Amanda.
I'm Amanda.
You're fabulous.
Hi, I'm Amanda. Erika.
Boz, Rachel, Amanda.
Rachel.
How are you? Oh, I love your necklace. Thank you.
Didn't take long for Jen Tilly to open mouth, insert foot with this little exchange.
You know what you look like? The 1985 Chanel, where you had all the Chanel models in the motorcycle jackets and the sort of ball gowns. It's like a fabulous look.
That's the year I was born.
Yeah. Oh, 1985?
85, yeah.
Oh my gosh. 1985? I was in Hollywood selling sandwiches out of a hamper, 10 cents a sandwich, 25 cents a salad. So I would push the salads. While she was struggling to get out of the womb, I was just struggling.
We find out Amanda has 4 kids, 2 of which are her stepchildren, which she does not really see as her stepchildren because she is raising them. However, some of the girls take exception to that distinction, and I'm going to leave that one because that's a hot button subject. People feel very differently about that, and everybody's entitled to their own opinion. So on to the drawing part of this shindig. They're drawing men in the nude. Everyone's going to do their own individual drawing, and then the instructor is going to select a winner. Well, it turns out that Amanda chooses not to drink, and Erika kind of shames her, don't you think? So Amanda literally says, am I being shamed for good life choices? You know what? That's something that's pretty common. If you go out with a normal group of people and they kind of peer pressure you to have a cocktail. So I would urge you to fake it if you don't want to deal with the peer pressure, or better yet, just let them have their cocktails and you have whatever the hell you want. How about that? Rachel wins the drawing contest. It really looked like they had a legitimately nice time for however long it was that they were working on those drawings. There was a lot of laughter, all kinds of fun stuff going on, a lot of chuckling. But was it weird to anybody else that after the drawing portion, the models all donned their robes and head into the buffet and just kind of hung around while everybody else was socializing? Or is it just me? And so it's not long before Kyle is being asked if she's dating again. She says she's not and quickly pivots the conversation to Dorit, who within seconds really starts to get upset and open up because apparently PK is going to block the kid's visit to Florida because he's back in town. And before long, she starts to unravel. I mean, emotion left and right. And guess who it is? It's Kyle, who gets up and comes to her side to offer her comfort. Listen, I did get upset that she said, do you know how hard that's going to be for me? Because why are we making it about you? Did anybody else catch that? This started off being about how upset you were for your children who were finally going to get a reprieve from, the drama going on in their household. And halfway through, you're telling the girls, do you know how hard this is going to be on me? So we get into the meat and potatoes of what's going on. And everybody has an opinion. Honestly, each of the girls, including Amanda, who's brand spanking new on the scene, has an opinion about how Dorit should handle this situation. Meanwhile, Jennifer Tilly is slowly starting to flip out that her party is going south. Luckily, it tends to, come to a natural end, and everybody leaves without incident except for Kyle. She's upset because she did not like the way Dorit responded to her when it came to her advice about how to handle PK versus how she responded to everybody else. It is what it is. Eventually the party ends, except for the straggler, the naked dude in the pool who seems to not want to be leaving. Okay, bravo. I see where we're at these days. So to end this episode, Erika goes to visit Kyle. And Kyle tells Erika she had a good time at Jen's party, but she's also really tired of everybody asking her about her dating life. And then, at long last, she finally starts to open up.
Erika, if you were seeing someone that you cared very much about, that specifically says, please, I'm not a part of this group, and, be respectful, would you betray that person just because people are curious?
I'd protect that person.
Then, because she is so smart, Erika stays quiet and says nothing. So Kyle keeps talking.
Seen someone who I cared about very much. Since separating from Mo, I was in a relationship. I was at a very vulnerable place in my life, and I felt hard for this person. If I'm in love with somebody, I want to share that. I don't care. I'm an open person like that. But that doesn't mean that the person I'm with feels the same way.
I think you've been as forthcoming as you can be, and
I'm trying. All of the speculation and the gossip and the talking is what ultimately ended it. I could have weathered the storm, but this is not for everyone. And I understand. It's like, people think they're owed an answer.
Yeah.
If it was only me, I would give all the answers they want, but it's not just about me.
Yeah, it's not just about you.
No.
There are two people here, not just one person.
Well, there were.
Kyle alludes that the person could not, quote, weather the storm, end quote, even though she was willing to. So to translate this, and for us to not have to read between the lines, Morgan Wade did not want to have a public relationship as a gay woman with Kyle Richards, mainly because of the platform that Kyle has and with the public scrutiny and all. And as a result, she broke up with her, and Kyle is brokenhearted and now single. That's how that episode ended. It was very refreshing to finally hear Kyle just say something that meant something, that gave us some of the answers. And on the Watch What Happens show, Andy Cohen mentioned that that's really all people were ever expecting, and they probably would have left her alone a long time ago. And I agree with that assessment. So I told you guys I'd watch the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills after show and report back. And I'm going to keep it simple because not a lot was covered. Obviously, they just rehashed the episode. But what was interesting were the matchups. So on one couch, we have Sutton, Jennifer, and Kathy. And then we have Rachel and Erika together. And then we have Boz and Dorit. And then we have Amanda and Kyle. So it was an interesting mix, and I guess it tells us a little bit about the dynamics at the end of the season, and who's really wanting to hang out with whom. Kyle is bothered that Dorit reacts to her differently, and Dorit thinks that she expects that her friendship with Kyle should be more important than Kyle's friendship with PK. So therein lies the rub with those two. Amanda said that her therapist's mama instinct kicked in when it was time to speak up about what was going on with PK and Dorit. But Kyle tells Amanda that her experience of PK is different than what Dorit is saying. And I understand Dorit in this case. She wants to feel like her friend is her friend. Rachel thinks with friends you want to be vulnerable with, you should open up the floodgates. But Erika points out that's not what's happening here. And I agree. And it turns out that Liel was really serious about Keely asking for her permission to propose. And they all seem to be in happy family planning mode. Wait for it. 2 weddings coming up real soon. An American wedding and a Ghanaian wedding will be both back to back next summer 2026. They ready, folks. Oh, they all talk about the naked man drawing party and they conclude that it's something they never need to do again. Dorit's parents, she tells us, told her in that same scene that we saw in the episode that they would love to see Dorit and PK back together again. And Boz makes an interesting observation. She said, if I were you, it would make me sad that making your parents' wishes come true is out of your control. And then Dorit confesses that she's been in a perpetual state of heartbreak. And she is either a really good actor or she really is taking this divorce a lot harder than we're giving her credit for. So I guess we'll stay tuned and find out where that all ends up. But Rachel says she felt comfortable immediately with Boz. And that is what made her open up. She was asked if she intended to be so open when she came on the show. And she said, no, Boz is just such a great friend. It wasn't in my plan to be so candid. But I felt that when I had things to say that mattered, I would come back. And that's why she chose now to come back to reality TV. Kyle talks about her visit to Mo's house and how it made her feel like they were getting further apart. She feels sad for his loss of having big family house full of people. And she told us that Mo had recently told her that he goes out so much because he doesn't want to be in an empty house. So that's how that one ended. We'll follow it along. Not a whole ton going on, but gave us a little extra perspective that we didn't otherwise have. Before we close out for the day, let me leave you with a little bit of Friday Bravo news and some mishy-mashy items from around the pop culture world, starting with what I'm sure all Bravoholics are talking about today. Real Housewives of Salt Lake City star Bronwyn Newport and her husband Todd Bradley have separated after 9 years of marriage. That was confirmed by her representative, and it is in People magazine, so that's good enough for me. The split was publicly revealed in the context of apparently the season 6 reunion, where her relationship struggles were, discussed openly, and multiple outlets seem to be noting that the decision appears to be mutual and respectfully handled. But the couple is in fact headed for divorce, and it is one of major Bravo relationship breakups of the season, especially after how it, came across. We kind of got to see the implosion of the marriage right before our very eyes. So all of this is in alleged speculation of infidelity rumors, emotional distance, and it just didn't work out for those two. So this had been going around the internet for a while. In fact, last season, there was speculation that Bronwyn had gone on the show for purposes of ending her marriage. I don't know if that's a trick, but it's not a good one, guys. Let's move on real quick before I end into the TLC universe, because there is all sorts of internet buzz going around, gossip, media noise about Tim Malcolm and Tiffany Franco. The word is they secretly got married. Okay. He did a live Instagram live last night, and we're trying to figure out, is this true? I sadly missed the whole thing, but apparently I don't think they're getting married. There was no public confirmation of a wedding announcement during that live yesterday, but social media gossip and fan accounts are sure circling some clips and a lot of speculation. There is no verified confirmation if they're even a couple yet, but Word on the street is they have been seen hanging around together a lot recently. So are these two the new TLC couple? I honestly like them together. I think they would be good together. But I suspect that they're only friends. So I'm going to bust that myth and say that one's not true. So it was a good episode of Beverly Hills this week, and it's been a good week. Happy Friday to you all. I hope you have a really good weekend. Continue to work on your Christmas shopping and all the holiday things. That's what I'm going to be doing. And I will be back next week with more of the same and whatever else has come up in the meantime. And as always, I will be here living on the verge. Have a happy, wonderful weekend. Bye.